What is going on, fans, wrestling fans, AEW fans, New Japan fans? Welcome back to the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. And yes, we are continuing with the New Japan Explained series for AEW fans. This time we are talking about the man who invented the term Forbidden Door, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi. But before we get into this, of course, as always, I'd like to remind you guys I got some free goodies down in the description box below for you if you're into money and you're into investing. You can get free stocks from Webull. You can get free stocks from Robinhood. You can get free crypto from Coinbase. I always suggest keeping your crypto, however, on an offline ledger to protect it. So you can find the Ledger Nano down in the description box below, as well as a documentary about Will Ospreay, the international wrestling star. Check that all out in the description box below and see if that's of any interest to you. But we're going to give you right now kind of the rough summary of what you need to know as an AEW fan who has never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling before about Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi's been around New Japan for quite some time. He was the man who is often credited as bringing New Japan back from the brink back in the 2000s. He was an amazing star that showed up and just had this charisma, this personality, this connection with the fans that had transcended anybody who had come in that generation of wrestlers. New Japan at the time was not doing very well, and it wasn't because of a pandemic, it wasn't because of any other situation outside of the fact that the fans just had lost interest in the promotion. Wrestlers like Shinya Hashimoto, wrestlers like Tatsumi Fujinami, wrestlers like Masahiro Chono, Keiichimoto, and of course Inoki himself had all kind of moved on, and there wasn't much left in the wake, but Tanahashi gave that new spark of life to NJPW. His list of accomplishments in the promotion are probably too many to mention here. He's been a G1 winner, he's been an IWGP heavyweight champion multiple times, and he's had several other titles, including the Never Openweight Championships, etc., etc. But it is not that makes Tanahashi a special, once-in-a-generation, once-in-a-century talent, as he is often known as. He is the ace of New Japan because he really is and has been one of the best wrestlers in the world of the modern generation. Tanahashi's moveset is pretty well known at this point in time. He does like to go after the knee, in particular with the Dragon Screw Leg Whip, which is a move that he has popularized, and now pretty much everybody in the business uses it. He also is known for the Sling Blade, another move that a lot of people have started using, which is a clothesline where he twists around in midair and drags his opponent to the mat. But his signature feature move is the High Fly Flow Frog Splash, which isn't a move that he invented, but his variation on it is one of the popular variations, along with that of Eddie Guerrero's and Rob Van Dam. Tanahashi's had rivalries with pretty much anybody who's worth mentioning that's come through the doors of New Japan. He's, of course, had that legendary series with Kazuchika Okada. He's had a rivalry with Minoru Suzuki. He's had rivalries with Kenta. He's had rivalries with pretty much every Bullet Club leader there's been, from AJ Styles all the way back to Prince Devitt, which kind of started Bullet Club. Kenny Omega and him have a still unresolved issue of Omega's last match in New Japan from a couple of years ago, and Tanahashi did fall to Jay White, who was a thorn in his side during Jay White's run in New Japan. In fact, Jay White won his first world championship from Tanahashi. At this stage in his career, Tanahashi is slowly approaching that grandpa level in New Japan, what we call the New Japan dads, which currently are guys like Kojima and Tenzan, who are stars from a previous generation that have kind of moved on to being on the multi-man tag matches, working with the Young Lions. Tanahashi isn't quite there yet. The ace still has a lot of brand power to his name, but one of the ways in which he has shown this is in the fact that a couple years ago at Wrestle Kingdom, when he was wrestling Chris Jericho, that match could have been for the AEW Championship, but New Japan did not recognize it at the time. And during the lead up and the aftermath of that match, Tanahashi is the one who coined the term Forbidden Door, describing the relationship between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, ironically stemming from controversy around his match with Kenny Omega and Omega's last match in New Japan. That kind of set things a little bit askew between the two promotions, but as time has gone on, and no short effort partially of Hiroshi Tanahashi himself to get that Forbidden Door open, we now have what we have in the positive relationship between New Japan and AEW, and these AEW New Japan crossover shows that are not only happening at shows like Forbidden Door, but you do see some AEW stars showing up in New Japan, some New Japan stars showing up every once in a while in AEW, and what provides to some of us who are more pro wrestling and less sports entertainment fans a more open and a more vibrant wrestling community where at any time, at any point, you could see one of your favorite New Japan stars show up in AEW. And in the future, as Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Kenny Omega, FTR, and lots of other wrestlers have made the transition to do some tours over in Japan, I expect you're going to be seeing more of that in the future, especially with some younger wrestling talent who may benefit from doing a tour in Japan. Tanahashi at Forbidden Door is going to be taking on probably his polar opposite in the wrestling world, whereas Tanahashi is a bright, bubbly, super baby face that turned around his company and became one of the most popular wrestlers in New Japan. MJF is quite the opposite. MJF is far from being a baby face. He is one of the most despicable heels in the business, but he also is very popular and also is part of the big popularity that has gone on with All Elite Wrestling. And there's no doubt in anybody's mind that MJF is now a major league star, and as AEW champion, defending his title against truly an outsider in Tanahashi coming into the company, we're going to see just how good Max is. This match, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people as well, as Tanahashi, as the professional he is, he's worked with pretty much anybody there is to work with who doesn't work in WWE in the wrestling world, and even some people have gone on to move to WWE. He's wrestled them all. MJF, still a relatively young guy, but has shown an experience and a wrestling acumen that's way beyond his years. These two coming together with the fact that Max loves to sell leg injuries, Tanahashi having a dragon screw, MJF loving to cheat, Tanahashi being a guy, as we've seen with him in his matches against the House of Torture in New Japan, it's not so easy to cheat against Hiroshi Tanahashi. He kind of knows your tricks before you do them. So him and Max is going to be a match that I am definitely looking forward to. I think it's going to be way better than anybody gives it any credit for right now, and we may be talking about this match after Forbidden Door is over. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. The Ace is probably one of the more well-known New Japan stars, so there probably isn't a lot that you don't know about him as an AEW star. He's been around in American wrestling for quite some time now, but if you learned anything new, including the fact that he lost his teeth a couple of months ago, let your voice be heard in the comment box below. Until then, I'll see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.